Ah, Baruch Hashem, recording in progress. This is good. So, Gitvach, and I'll get moya to everyone. He Woyar, Motzei Shabbos, Motzei Yontev, Pesach, first day, Pesach, Seder, and we're going to Shem, Sipurey by Shem Tov, Sichos Haran. There's all kinds of stuff to cover. Of course, the first Nakuda that we need to talk about was the Seder, was Pesach. And what does it mean to be slaves to Pharaoh? And what does it mean to come out of Mitzrayim? And the what is the need for us to say it, to go through the same thing every single year? And there are a couple of points in the Haggadah itself which raise some interesting questions about what do they mean, what leads to what, and why is that? The first thing is where we say, if Kadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't have taken us out of Mitzrayim, then we and our children and our grandchildren would all be slaves to Pharaoh in Mitzrayim. So that statement first begs a question. There is no Mitzrayim anymore. There is no Pharaoh anymore. How would we be slaves to Pharaoh of Mitzrayim if there's no Pharaoh? There's no Mitzrayim. So that's a question number one. And a second question that on the surface seems even more puzzling is the Dayenu progression. If Kadosh Baruch Hu would have taken us out of Mitzrayim, but wouldn't split Yam Suf, Dayenu is enough. If split the Yam Suf, but didn't give us the man, Dayenu. Gave us the man and wouldn't have brought us to Har Sinai, Dayenu. Brought us to Har Sinai and not get a Torah, Dayenu, and so forth and so on. It seems like when you look at it, like, what's the point of going to Har Sinai without getting the Torah? Or what's the point of going through Yam Suf if we didn't get the man afterwards? Or what's the point of getting off Mitzrayim without going through the sea? Or what's the point of getting the Torah without coming to Israel? And what's the point of coming to Israel without getting Beis Hamikdash? In other words, it seems like at every single stage we're saying that if it was only that, it's already Kedai. What's at play here? Why every single step in on itself would have been enough? All right, so the first question is actually, you can find somewhat of an answer in a Sicha of Rabbeinu HaKadosh when he said, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't have taken us out of Egypt, what would the Jewish nation be already? who would have been, he called in Yiddish, a band Tziganos, a band of gypsies. I'm not talking about the rock band of Jimi Hendrix, a band of gypsies. I'm talking about, just a tribe of gypsies roaming like, Bedouins, whatever. So in order to understand this, we have to understand what is the pshat of getting out of Mitzrayim. What is Mitzrayim, and why was it so difficult to get out of there? And what is so significant about getting out of Mitzrayim? More than that, what is so significant about the Kodesh Baruch Hu taking us out of Mitzrayim, as opposed to, let's say, black people in America, when slavery was abolished? The answer, one of the possible answers, obviously, is that Pharaoh is the same letters as Ha'oref. That's the back of the neck. The back of the neck, that's the, as it were, the brainstem. That's the reptilian brain, as it were. That's the brain which is behind the cerebral brain and the limbic brain, the emotional brain. That's the level that talks about, is in charge of survival and production. We call it the level of Ratzon, the level of will. Will, when they say, well, there's a will, there's a way. Will is the generator that keeps life alive. It also represents a certain mindset, an imprint. That everything that we do, our feelings and our thoughts and our philosophies, they all spring from that initial imprint. And that imprint, that code, which tells us who we are, is very much something that we can know, on a personal level. It is something that starts, happens by the age 7. This is usually when it happens. Because a child doesn't have much use for the cerebral brain until age 7. Until then, it's feelings, and there are experiences that happen. And when the experiences are coupled with strong feelings, they create an imprint. So, as we said before, we have our story, and our story dictates the way that we see the world from that point on. Almost to the point that there's no way to change it. Because if a person, let's say a person has this imprint that for some reason, some kind of unintentional experience, unintentional by anybody, a person got the feeling that he's no good. He's no good. And if he does something, it's only a question until he will fail. Many people are like that. Not everybody, but many people are like that. Such a person, when a person has this kind of imprint, we spoke about it before Pesach, then any data that person will meet, that will come the way of that person, will automatically will be interpreted with the eyes of that imprint. This is Ha'arif, that's the back of the neck. This is the bedrock upon which our, call it, what we think of ourselves, that gives birth to everything. And as long as we are in our story, as it were, nothing will ever change, because we will take this new information and reinterpret it as reinforcing our premise for who we are. So I think some psychologists said when we are children, they tell us who we are, and we live the rest of our lives proving it. And we already interpret whatever it is that comes our way, proving that. Now, we need a Kadosh Baruch Hu to take us out of Mitzrayim. The only way that we can get out of this is for Hashem to literally pick us up and put us somewhere else. That's the reason why it is so painful. For instance, for black people in America to actually change, their outlook vis-a-vis the American society. And American society is predisposed to give people a second chance. A society that is built on second chances. All the immigrants, whatever it is a new start. See how difficult it is for them. Because Hashem didn't take them out of their Egypt. So the thing that we celebrate every single Pesach is that we are above our story. By getting out of Mitzrayim, is the lotion of constraints. Mitzrayim is straits. By taking us out of Mitzrayim, Kadosh Baruch Hu has given us the ability to rewrite our story. That's why we keep on celebrating Pesach every single year, because every single year we're coming out of our story again and again and again. Now, many times we remain in our story. I mean, I've been Pesach after Pesach after Pesach, and I'm still the same bum as I always were. But the answer, it is not true. Because what we need to understand, that our own, so we learned this in the Maisa of the Ben Melech and Ben Shifcha that were exchanged, that our story, as it were, is necessary for us. This is our test. This is the preconditions that we need in order to fix whatever it is that we need fixed in this incarnation. But what we're learning is that there is another level. And that's the level, the godly level of our existence. During the Seder, we're not asked to philosophize, and we ask to do. Just do and do and do and do, and then you do this and then you do that. Take the ka'ara, you move it aside, take the matzahs, put it this, you hold the thing matzahs, then you hold the two matzahs, let the third one drop. It's all about instructions. Do and do and do and do. The reason for it is to imprint upon us that while our cerebral and limbic brains tell us all the stories we want, Lemaisa, we are godly beings. And everything that we do creates a spiritual imprint that lasts forever. If Chas v'Shalom a person doesn't aver, if he doesn't do tshuva, it's a problem. At Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu, B'ezrat Hashem, koyach of the tzaddikim, everything will be rectified. But nevertheless, if you do a good thing, specifically like the in Seder Pesach, where it is a cornucopia of holiness, one holy deed after another one. It's a treasure trove of holy things that you do. You feel it. You don't feel it. You think. You don't think. You are into it. You're in it. It doesn't matter. That part is part. That's our whatever it is that we did is a gewalt. And that's the explanations also of Dayenu. The reason why every step, seems insufficient, but we say, no, this is enough, this is Dayenu. It's because in the view of Mitzrayim, in the view of, okay, did I achieve my goal or didn't I achieve my goal? It seems like, what's the point of getting to Har Sinai without getting the Torah? But the answer is that if our life are a spiritual ladder, coming one after the other, that means that everything we do is holy, and every single step that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did with us when we came out of Mitzrayim is another hasaga, another perception of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Getting out of Mitzrayim, we became aware of HaKadosh Baruch Hu on one level. Going through Yam Suf, tremendous secrets. We saw HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a whole different level. When we got the water in Mara, another level. When he brought us to Har Sinai, that in itself is another gilui, is a revelation of godliness. Mount Torah, of course, each step in on itself is a revelation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu becomes revealed. So we say every single step in on its own would suffice. That would have been enough. The entire humanity does not get there. Not even one. The entire humanity doesn't get out of Mitzrayim. Doesn't get this asagas alakus of coming out of Mitzrayim. The entire humanity doesn't get the asaga of alakus that we got by going through Yam Suf. The entire humanity, not one person of the entire, I don't know how many billions of people are in the world, have experienced the asagas alakus of getting to Har Sinai. And so forth and so on. So that's the meaning of the Yenu. We do not even begin to realize the kedusha of our everyday existence. You get up in the morning, you say Modéani, you wash your hands, you make your brachas. You don't realize the godliness of who you are. The thing that keeps us looking, did I do it? Did I make it? I woke up at time, didn't wake up at whatever. That's Mitzrayim. Okay. Well, with that, let's get to the story of the Baal Shem Tov for this week. Chol HaMoed Pesach, the first day of Sfiras Omer. A very dignified caravan of the Talmidei Chachamim was moving towards the place where the chuppah of the grandson of the Baal Shem Tov would take place, and at the head of the procession was the Baal Shem Tov himself. Suddenly, the Baal Shem Tov went off the way a little bit, and stepped to a Jew that just passed there, and he whispered a few words in his ear, and he came back to the procession and keeps on going for the chuppah. When Talmidei Baal Shem saw, the Baal Shem Tov is speaking to this person, I mean, they had no doubt that person must be a hidden tzaddik. Or how else would the Baal Shem Tov speak to him? So they came to him and said, Shalom Aleichem, Rebbe. They give him their hands to, for a handshake with tzaddik nister. That person looks at him like, Rebbe? He says, me? You call Rebbe? Yeah. You're greatly mistaken. I'm not Rebbe that you're like, I'm just a simple person. No. Talmidei Hashem said, no. We know that you're a Rebbe and you're a tzaddik nister b'mamish. The person says, what are you talking about? I have no idea why you're getting on my case. I'm just a simple Jew. There's nothing special about me. So one of the Talmidim says, if the Baal Shem Tov left the procession, going to the chuppah of his grandson, to talk to you, you must be a tzaddik nister. That person sighed. He says, all right, I see you're not going to leave me alone until I tell you what it's about. Let me tell you what your Rebbe told me, and you'll understand who he is. As I said before, I'm not a Rav, I'm not a tzaddik nister, I'm a very simple person who lives in one of the neighboring villages. I have a childhood friend who lives mamish next door to me, door to door. We're friends, belev benefesh, bosom buddies. We don't hide anything from one another. My friend is, as a peddler, as a merchant, goes from door to door. And he goes from one village to the other, and he sells merchandise. When he gets a little money together, comes back home. One day, my friend came from his trips, whatever it is, and all his family, and all his friends, everybody come. Of course, I was one of them. While I was there, I wanted to smoke a pipe. Since I felt very comfortable in the house of my friend, my good friend, I opened up the cabinet where the tobacco was, and suddenly I saw that there's a bundle of money there. And I decided, I'm gonna pull a prank. I'm gonna hide that bundle of money. Just for a little while, see what happens. I didn't mean to steal it, chas v'chalila. Immediately when the disappearance of the money will be noticed, I'll tell my friend, here it is, explaining to my friend how important it is to keep the money safe, don't just leave it, where people can reach it. But things went differently. Somehow the wife of my friend discovered that the bundle of money is gone. And she started screaming. And within minutes, all the guests started looking for the money. I was very embarrassed to admit for anybody, that I was pulling a prank. So I went out of the house with some kind of an excuse, fully intending, to come back, when things will calm down a little bit. But it didn't. The rumor went throughout town that a significant amount of money was stolen from the house of my friend. And more people started getting to the house. Those to help looking for it, those to console him, and some, to give some advice. What do Jews do? They give advice, give some advice. And I felt so embarrassed, I didn't mean to cause such tsar to my friend. He's like my brother. Well, things got worse. The balachobas of my friend started suspecting that he invented the loss of the money, not to pay them. And they started talking about it behind his back. At the end, they came to his house and demanded their money. They called him a thief. They called him a liar. They told him, give us back the money that you owe us. No. That money is well kept in my house. And the Yetzer Hara started playing with me. He says, listen, no matter what you do now, you won't be able to give me back the money. Why don't you just use it? Use the money. Do some business. Make a nice money that later on you'll find a opportunity to give back the money to your friend. In the meantime, use it. Well, the words of the Yetzer Hara came to my heart, and I knew I won't be able to use the money in my hometown, obviously. Everybody knows that I'm not a wealthy person, and I don't have money. So I decided I'm going to move to another town where people won't know me, and I'll be able to open up a new business, a successful business, and that could work, And here I came in order to search for a horse and a wagon, and a driver to get me after a good place to live. And along the way, your Rebbe, the Baal Shem Tov, met me. And he came to me and whispered in my ear, my son, go back to your town and give your friend back the money that you took. And I promise you that I by myself will come to the Beis Din and give testimony you had no bad intentions when you took it. And he says, and I feel like a huge stone has rolled off my heart. As if from now on I'm going to go immediately to my town. I'm going to give the money back to its owner, and I am certain the Baal Shem Tov will come and testify and based in for me like he promised, and everything Bezat Hashem will Yovo al Makom b'Shalom, everything Bezat Hashem will all live happily ever after. That's the story of the Baal Shem Tov. Sichos again aleinu. So without further ado, let's take a quick look at the Sichos Haran for this week. And it has to do with Seder Pesach and whatever it is we spoke about before. There are the Sicha Kuf Chaf. Ona v'Omer Rabbeinu said, Chizku ve'imtzu kol hameyachalim l'Shem. Be strong and strengthen yourself. Fortify yourself. All you who crave HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who yearn for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kol hameyachalim, all those who crave Hashem, who wish to get to Hashem. Daika, afilu, if you're not zecher to any kind of kedusha, any kind of avodah chas v'shalom, you just hope to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Still, already, be strong and fortify yourself, and don't let anything break you, no matter what will be. We've spoken about this many, many times. And more than just that, every person needs to be mechazik his friend, not to falter. Even if I know who I am, please, still I should go to somebody else and mechazik him. Because to give chizuk to a friend is a lot easier than give chizuk to yourself. A prisoner cannot, break himself out of his prison. There's nothing worse than falling, from faltering, from giving up. As Chazal said, The inyan milchama agashmius. Talking about just physical war. Al tirugas ve'al tarzu. When you go to a physical war, don't be afraid, and don't cower. Al tiru mishivas kalgosim. Don't be afraid from how, all the armies. Al tarzu mikol akronis. Don't get rattled from the blowing of the horns. And it says this is physically. However, shekol advarim ha'ele ovrim al mi shechovas likonas b'avodas Hashem. All these things pass over every person who wants to get into avodas Hashem. Shekam minei milchamos u'pchodim. How many wars and fears and armies and voices of horns are blowing over him. It's going over every single person. Kol echad ve'echad. You want to get into avodas Hashem, you have to go through this. You have to be steadfast. Don't give up. Don't let go of your place. Don't give up. Always, always, always wait for HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Yeshua. Don't get far away from Hashem Yisborach Chas v'Chamila. As Rabbeinu said about, as Chazal said about Milchama, Tchilas Mapolo Niso, the beginning of defeat is running away. From where will I run before you? Where can you run away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu? If you go up to the heaven, there He is. If you go all the way down Hashem Yirachem to help, there He is. Hashem is in every single place. You cannot say to yourself, listen, I'm a lost case. Chas v'chalila. Hashem is in every place. You have to be extremely stubborn in avodas Hashem. Don't give up, even if you have proofs 1,000 ways to Sunday that you are no good. Don't give up. And as Rabbeinu says, that if a person is zoicha, not to make his friend fall. You see your friend is falling, be mechazek him. Even though you know by yourself that you're so far from avodas Hashem, be mechazek your friend. Adrabah, give him a lot of chizuk. Be mechayek, give him chayas. And give him back his spirit and all kinds of diburim to the nefesh. Then it could be that afterwards, you too will come back to avodas Hashem through that. You can see it all ties together. What we said, Yitzias Mitzrayim. The Mitzrayim is the preset, the perception that we have, who we are, what we can do, what we cannot do. All this, we are prisoners of that. And then we fall, here is a proof that I'm no good, that I never were good, always bad, I'll always be bad, nothing will work. Something fun. You can't get yourself out of it. At least give a chizuk to your friend. This is Mesiris Nefesh Mamish. We learned last week, the Rebbeinu says, that the fallen Hasidim are the worst. Because they tried already and they fell off avodas Hashem, so they want to drag everybody with them. Like women who are divorced, and there is a friend, a woman that is, is having a tough time with her husband, so all her divorced friends saying, yeah, leave him, go ahead, divorce. They don't mean her good, they just want to pull her down to where they are, to be as miserable as they are. The inyan is that you prove the purity of your heart, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that if you yourself, in your view, it's falsehood. But okay, beseder, falsehood, schmalsehood, that's the way that you think. That you're not good, you're not going to get anywhere, whatever it is. That you're a lost case. Still, be mechazek somebody else. Give chesed to somebody else, and don't give up. Rabbeinu says, "Yesh inyan shenisapech kol hatovo." There is an inyan, there is such a thing that everything that you see that is bad, and you did this, and you did that, and you did that, everything flips over and becomes good. And just to finish, to say a story about, there was a Jew that became, he converted. Shem converted. He was, that time, I don't know, was Ukraine, Poland, in Russia, there's the whole parallelograms of those countries changed, the border changed and moved, and whatever it is. As it's happening now. And at that time, the way things were is that they were like feudal lords in different places, and they would all come to the capital city where the king was, and they will make decisions. Whatever that Jew that they converted became, like Jews are up to be, the worst anti-Semite possible. And he kept on going up and up and up and up until he became a feudal lord himself, and he became part of the inner committee, the inner sanctum of all the royal, whatever it is, that convene together with the king to decide different laws and whatever it is. And one day, one of the feudal lords said something about the Jews. They did this, they did that, that there was some kind of a blood libel. Shemirachem. And when one started, the second feudal lord said the Jews in his place did this and did that, and B'kitzur, they started talking, and the whole place was roiling with Sinas Israel, to the point, the Jews killed, I don't know, it was a Goyish maiden, a Goyish child, I don't know what it is, to bake matzahs with their blood, whatever the libel was. They decided that they were Hashem Yirachem, finish all the Jews. So every person, every one of those noblemen, had to sign this declaration. And the king signed, with everybody else. Afterwards, he gave the final signature. And so he went from now on, he says, yes, we should, whatever it is. When it finally came to this ex-Jew, this big anti-Semite, he said, you all know, that I was once a Jew. And I'm telling you, and he was, by them, he was famous as an anti-Semite. And he says, I'm telling you, there's no such thing by the Jews. It's fiction. Killing, go should this, use the blood. It's nonsense. Never happened, never will. Nothing. Shtiyot. The Jews are bad enough, but this is nonsense. So the king said, being that I know, that person, that he's a good Christian, and he is a fierce Jew hater, I believe him. This is just a libel, and the whole thing was canceled. And right after that thing transpired, that person got such an unbelievable desire to become Jewish again. He didn't know what to do. So he went to the tzaddik of his generation, was the Apterov, You know, the Oiv Yisrael from Apta, you know, is Rabbeinu saw him when he was very young. Rabbeinu liked him a lot. He was the tzaddik ador at that time, and so he came to him. So the Aptarov, you know, heard the knocking on the door, and he opens the door, and he sees that person, that Meshumad. And he was staggered. So this Meshumad told him, listen, I have to talk to you. The Aptarov said, no way, I'm not talking to you. That person said, Aptarov, I must talk to you. I have to talk to you. The Aptarov says, I don't care. I don't care what you have to, what you don't have to. Whatever it is that you want, go to a different rabbi and take care of him there. Over there. Don't speak to me. I'm not going to talk to you. But the person insists, I have to talk to you. The Aptarov had a stick in his hand, you know, walking staff. So the Aptarov told him, grass will grow on this stick before I talk to you. And as he said that, grass grew on the stick, on the staff. So the Aptarov realized that's what they call a himmelzach. That's a heavens thing. This is not. So he invited him in, told him the whole story. The Aptarov told him, okay, listen, you go a certain house, you stay there. I will send people, take care of you, be totally incommunicado with anybody else. Become a Jew again until I will call you. And so this is what he did. He went to that place and, you know, dressed as a Jew, started davening, started doing whatever it is. And after a while, the Aptarov called him and told him, I think that the Goyish wife and her children died or something like this, whatever. And he told him, now go back to the council of the king. Go back. Remain in the council as a Jew. Tell them what happened. Don't run away from there. And this is what happened. What did HaKadosh Baruch Hu want? Here's a Jew that did horrendous averas. HaKadosh Baruch Hu saved the entire Jewish people through him. So we feel, who am I bringing with me? What am I bringing with me? Shem Yirachem. I have nothing bringing me to the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's Beseder. It's Beseder Gomer. Be mechazik a friend. B'schos of being mechazik a friend, B'zat Hashem, you'll be zoicha to fix whatever you need to fix. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help us with B'zat Hashem to be zoicha to a chag kosher v'sameach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu save us with from a mashu of chometz. B'zat Hashem, with this chos will be zoicha to cleanse our hearts from chometz and our minds from chometz. The biggest chometz is overthinking. You know, this pharaonic philosophies, and I understand what's what and what gives and blah 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 blah. Just stay away. We're Jews, live like Jews. We have a tachlis. Why we live our lives to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You know, like in the Seder, we had Samar. Because a person gets, you know, doesn't feel that well with his body, whatever it is, the minute he goes through his life, whatever it is, all kinds of pains, whatever it is, it's the Mara. After the Mara comes, you know, comes a whole Suda. Don't worry about it. You know, don't kick the Yisurim. Don't kick the suffering. Doesn't mean you're supposed to love them. It's Mara. Nevertheless, you need to take care of it. But don't kick it. You should know that's part of the Suda. That's part of the Seder. That's part of us being who we are. The body has to be cleansed. We have to also be able to be keli for Ruchnius. At Shem,